we won't learn if we don't make mistakes. I mean, it's a bit like what I tell my friends when I'm teaching them how to rollerblade. I say to them, you have to fall down every once in a while, and it's not a case of learning to never fall over. It's a case of knowing exactly how to fall and exactly how to get back up again afterwards, because falling is inevitable. And when I apply this to learning it, because we are human, somewhere along the line we will always make mistakes. It's just a case of acknowledging those mistakes and thinking, okay, fair enough, I stand corrected. What can I do to improve on that? And and we've got that completely backwards. We got when we're wrong, we're like, oh no. We kind of like either fall into this delusion pathway where we still resist the fact that we're wrong and say, oh no, I'm right, or we sort of like try and deflect it to try and mask the formality of us being wrong, and it's just complete, and that it's just completely backwards, because Peter said it perfectly. He encapsulated it perfectly in Addendum when he said, to be proven wrong should be celebrated, because it means you're being elevated to a higher level of understanding and awareness. And, it's just completely logical to think about, being wrong in that context.
It's just an absolute evidence. It's an absolute evidence of the despotic nature of this culture, and I couldn't agree more. I think I'd only be echoing everything you just said if I went off on a rant. To be honest, I think you've got it spot on.
All right. Any more to say on that question, or shall we move on?
I think there is one wonderful example of that, where there was a professor who was claiming some scientific fact to his students for about 15 years, really ardently, and then one day another professor came along and gave a presentation of his work that proved this professor wrong in front of this professor and all of his students. And this professor went up on stage, and his students were sitting there thinking, oh shit, what's going to happen here? And he went up and he shook the guy by his hand and he said, thank you so very much, and everybody stood up and applauded.
Wow. You see, now that
science gives you, mate. That's what science gives you. It humbles you. It humbles you in the face of nature and the universe and makes you sane. It's the only thing that ever has.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And, it's just such a shame that, instead the principle of scientific thought is, tarnished over as this sort of sterile, uncaring sort of principle. People think, oh no, scientists. Oh, you must be a mad scientist.
It's not given reference. This is the problem. In fact, these are some of the activities that I'm going to be taking into schools, is making these topics relevant, because unfortunately what teachers tend to do is they go, okay, open your textbooks and you start learning the subject. No. It has to be made relevant to your life first. So for instance, I often tell my students this. You come into my class at age 11, science class, let's say I'm the science teacher. First thing I do is get you to take off your shoes and socks. And we all take a walk outside and stand out in the cold for 5 minutes.
Right.
Right. And when everybody can admit that they really, really like their shoes and socks and that they really, really want to go back inside, then that's what we'll do. And when we go back inside and everybody puts them on, do you like your shoes and socks now? Yeah, crikey. Right. Well, they didn't just fall out of the sky. Okay. If you were in the middle of nowhere, you wouldn't have a sodding clue how to make those things. There are people who. There are people who came before you that you have to pay homage to for those things, okay? Not the store you bought them from, because that store couldn't sell them unless someone had actually gone to the trouble of bothering to learn from the previous generation to invent those shoes that keep your feet warm.
Exactly.
And that is the scientific method 101, baby. If you don't like it, go out in the middle of the woods, naked, sit there and pray.
and that's pretty much the only option otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah, see how far you get. You do that, I'm staying in my centrally heated home, okay?
Yeah, reaping the benefits of science, even though it's reaping the benefits, but acknowledging that that is where we got it from, and not taking it for granted.
Absolutely.
But now there's but speaking on the issue of either being wrong or right, there was because I've been watching a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson lately, and he was voted the sexiest astrophysicist or something like that. Quite embarrassed him, really. But now there was one thing that he said, is that a lot of journalists keep saying that, a new theory, scientists have to go back to the drawing board.
I saw this one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was cosmic quandaries or something like that. But he's like, wait a minute, if you're not at the drawing board, you're not developing things. Scientists are not sitting back with their feet on the table going, we'll just rest on our laurels. Oh crap, we got to do something. Someone's made a discovery. Go back to the
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's like saying, those swimmers have to carry on swimming, or those walkers have to carry on walking. It's like, well, I think probably the clue was in the description.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, scientists are always at the drawing board. If you're not always at the drawing board, you're not making discoveries.
You're not a scientist, yeah.
Exactly. But anyway, we should move on. Okay, question 8. With the elimination of the monetary system, many analogies for teaching mathematics will no longer be applicable. How will this be addressed, and what technologies... what techniques will replace money-based learning tools?
Well, I think really again, so I come down to the reference point. So, what you have at the moment is Johnny goes into the shop and buys 3 apples with $5.90. Or something like that, how he has to share the change out between his mates. We have examples based in this culture, so the examples would be based in a completely new culture. To be honest, none of us can fully understand because we've never lived in it. So, however, my best shot in the dark would be, you have a hydroponic facility producing 400 plants at this ratio. You've got this many people to feed. How many plants will you need to do, or how will you need to develop? What kind of machinery will you need to develop, and how many of them? And it will be based in the community that you're in, and the maths-based learning. Maths is some easy-ass subject to teach in a fun and engaging way, man. It really is. There's a really interesting thing, actually, that people should check out that is based, loosely in a competitive, money-orientated society, I suppose, as everywhere is. But Project H is something I would recommend people taking a look at. There's a good TED Talk on there, and I can't remember the lady's name, but basically, if you type Project H in, take sort of things you can do with play-based maths learning. Which I won't go into now because I know we haven't got long, and I know you've got a few questions to go. But loosely speaking, there are loads of active games that you can use to teach maths, and the reference points for those examples of teaching maths in a resource-based economy would be the resource-based economy. It just wouldn't have any monetary, influences, obviously.
Yeah, because just even when I was reading that question, I was thinking to myself, money-based learning tool. Well, yeah, as you said, it wouldn't be a case of Johnny goes into the shop and has £5 and spends £3.70, and how much does he have left? We could even apply it to, we could even apply it to, I don't know, I'm not savvy to the to the technical processes of how geothermal plants work and their productivity and all that stuff. But they could, they could say you have 2 geothermal plants. I mean, this is one analogy that they use, that Peter has used for explaining redundancy. That you have 2 geothermal plants in more or less the same area, and the productivity of one drops down 20%. And how much would the other one need to increase its own productivity to compensate, and what also, like, going into whatever technical processes the plant would need to go through in order to raise that productivity. There's you just got to think of any example that would have a physical referent, and maybe the class could be taken out to a geothermal plant and walk through this process so they can actually see it in practice. It's like, oh yeah, well, they could even simulate a decline in productivity and the system's automatic compensation for it. It's and in fact, I think probably some students work on that. It could also be used to input for the optimization of different processes, because one thing I keep saying to people who they're a bit dubious about whether or not to give me questions for my podcast. I say to them, well, you never know. Just if you have a question, let me have it, because you never know. You might have an angle that no one has ever thought about before. You might have something that is really interesting that, it might, I mean, it's highly unlikely that there's a question that has never been asked. It's a case of what angles they come from. But I say to them, you might have an approach that might just, actually, yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. I mean, and that's how students could engage the system in how that can improve, just as much as the system can work to make their lives better.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. You do need that unique reference point of other people. It's much like being in a band. As I say to my band, if someone's getting a bit shitty that their ideas being trounced around, I always just say, well, if you don't like it, go and be a solo artist.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I'm in a band for you guys to actually tell me my ideas shit. Or tell me, I'm not in it so that I can protect my own ideas when I come up with them. I'm in it because I value your opinion. If I didn't value your opinion, why the hell would I be in a band with you?
Exactly. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing for, it's another expression of symbiosis. It's, if you want to just serve yourself, then you should just be a solo artist. But to be in a band, it is really to help each other and to be together in that band for mutual advantage, not just to, it's quite quite inherently wrong to just be in there just so you can, stroke each other's egos and make you feel all great, but also to let each other know where you're going wrong. I mean, it was a discussion we were having about the things that were going wrong on Z-Day. It's a case of giving feedback. It's a case of not massaging anyone's ego, but actually telling someone straight off, where they think they were going wrong. So, all right, that's somewhere that I can improve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Right. Anything else to say on that question, or shall we move on?
No, I could go on for hours on that, but carry on.
Okey-doke. Next question. Question 9. In the current system, it has been suggested that education is viewed by many as a chore. How will this issue of reluctance to learn be addressed within an RBE?
By making the topic itself actually the reward and intrinsically interesting, rather than trying to shove some someone's throat they don't want to learn. Yeah, it's much the similar thing to everything else in our system. You don't agree with me? No. Well, how about if I smash you over the head? Do you agree with me now? Well, no. Well, no, not really, but it hurts so much that I don't want you to do it again that I'm going to tell you I am. Which isn't true, is it? You're not.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be hit again.